Good day. Welcome to the Region of Queens Municipality Regular Council Meeting, Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, 9 a.m. This meeting is held via Zoom. I would like to call this meeting to order, and in doing so, I would like to extend the regrets of Councillor Ralph Gidney, who is unable to join us today. Are there any changes or approval to the agenda? Hearing none, I will ask for approval of the agenda. Approved by Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Romero. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Kevin?
Yes.
Passed. There are no presentations. Are there any petitions to be tabled? Hearing none. Public question comment session. Is there anyone in the gallery? Leon, please remember to state your name and your civic address before.
Yeah, Leon Robertson, College Street, Liverpool. You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Under 9.1 on the agenda, deed transfer tax. I noticed that's recommended to go from 1% to 1.5, which is good. And from my calculation, that should provide you with roughly another $200,000 in revenue, which is good. And the way houses have been selling, it might even be a little extra there for you.
Yes, we are optimistic that it will indeed provide those numbers or above.
Mm-hmm. And do all other municipal units, do they have the deed transfer tax? Because I know years ago, not everybody would use that. Do you know if that's true or not?
The deed transfer tax is varied across the province. It goes from 0 to 1.5%, which is the maximum that the region can do that.
Okay, thank you. And under 12.1, Recreation, Health and Communities, the Community Investment Fund, there's a recommendation there to provide $25,000 to the curling bonds pool that's coming up in the fall. My question is, with this COVID going on and things being canceled and so on, if that doesn't go ahead, we won't be providing the $25,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I just want you to have a clause in there to protect yourself.
And provide the money if the events don't happen.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. And it seems like it's only been a few months ago and we were on Zoom and now we're back here again. Anyway, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Any of our gallery guests wishes to speak? Hearing none, we'll move to approval of the minutes. The minutes of Tuesday, April 27th, 2021. There has been a slight addition, which I will note. Under section 13, where it's discussing the accessibility plan. In the first paragraph, the draft plan due date was to be submitted by April, and I would like to add in there April 2021, but the province extended it to April 21-22. Elise Johnson, along with her committee, completed the draft plan on schedule as by April 2021. So the amendment is simply adding in those dates. Could we have the amendment approved? The amendment has been approved by Councillor Hawks. The amendment has been seconded by Councillor Charlton. All those who are approval of the amendment?
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion to have the minutes approved as amended? It's been moved by Councillor Charlton, seconded by Councillor Romero, that the minutes be approved as amended. All those in favor?
Yes.
Passed. There's nothing under finance or economic development. There is one item under corporate services, 9.1, and that is a respecting the deed transfer tax. CAO McNeil, would you like to provide some background information on this?
I can do so.
Thank you.
So all of our bylaws are required to go through first reading and a second reading, in which in between there is a time for advertisement in a local newspaper and for public comment on any proposed bylaws. This bylaw went through first reading a month ago, and so now it's before council for second and final reading. Once it is approved by council, then it gets advertised in the newspaper that it's in effect. And as you'll note in the report, it takes some time to make these processes happen. And so the effective date is proposed to be June the 1st. That's a tight timeline, but hopefully we'll be able to meet that in conjunction with the province to put this in place. As of this morning, there's been no public comments either for or against the proposed bylaw submitted to the clerk's office.
Thank you, CEO McNeil. There is a recommendation in your package. If someone would like to make that as a motion,
I can do that.
Councillor Charlton.
I move that Council of Region of Queens Municipality give second reading to bylaw number 18 respecting deed transfer tax.
Seconded by Councillor Fancy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the question. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Carried. 10.0 Engineering and Public Works, nothing to report today, nor dangerous and unsightly premises, which takes us to item number 12, Recreation and Healthy Communities. There is a motion in the package. If someone would so make that motion, and then we'll have a discussion. Who wishes to make the motion? Councillor Muse?
I can. You hear me?
Yes, you're in green.
Okay. I move that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality provide grant funding to the Liverpool Championship House Society in the amount of $25,000 from the 2021 to the 2022 Community Investment Fund, and that the funding be released in the following payment schedule: 50% upon signed facility contract with the Queens Place Mirror Center, 35% September 15, 2021, and 15% be held back until the completed Community Investment Fund final report is received as per policy 11-Community Investment Fund.
Seconded by Councillor Hawks. Dana, would you like to comment on this? Or Megan? Megan.
Application was received. Everything was included in the application that the policy requires. Of course, if the event doesn't happen because of COVID, the funding will be returned as per policy because it wasn't spent as it was applied for. But other than that, everything is great unless there's any questions.
Are there any questions of Megan? Any questions? Hearing none, I will ask for the motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. Councillor Muse?
Yes.
Passed. Thank you. Planning 13.0. Self-storage, 85 Hillside Road by development agreement. Do we have Mike with us today?
Yes, I am.
I see you there. Mike, which we'll have the motion read first, and then you can provide us some background information. Who would like to make that motion?
I can.
Councillor Romero.
I move that the Council of Region of Queens Municipality give notice of its intention to amend an existing development agreement with Wasawek Limited dated October 29th, 1999 to allow for self-storage business on property identified as PID number 70218896 and located at 85 Hillside Road in Brooklyn, and that a public hearing be held on June 8th, 2021 in the council chambers of the municipal building, 249 White Point Road in Liverpool, Nova Scotia at 9 a.m. In the event that public health directives prohibit an in-person hearing, arrangements will be made to host the public hearing through an authorized online platform.
Thank you, Councillor Miro, and seconded by Councillor Fancy. Mike McLeod, Director of Planning, would you give us the background information, please?
Yes, Mayor. I guess the planning department has received an application to enter into a development agreement for a self-storage business on 85 Hillside Road in Brooklyn. If this looks familiar or sounds familiar, you'll recall that council back in January passed a motion to amend the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw, which would enable council to consider such amendments. The property itself, 85 Hillside Road, is zoned as general residential R2 under the land use bylaw. The property owners currently operate a small manufacturing business on the property where they produce Christmas tree rings and some novelty items. This use was permitted through a previous development agreement that the municipality entered into back in 1999. So the self-storage businesses are obviously not a permitted use within the general residential R2 zone. So with the new policy in the planning strategy, council has the ability to consider actually amendments to the current development agreement to allow for the self-storage use. So the municipal planning strategy does contain policy that includes items that council must take into consideration when looking at entering into a development agreement or amending existing development agreements. Those items are included under policy 12.6.1 of the municipal planning strategy. So the existing development agreement from 1999 does contain provision whereby council can consider amendments to the current agreement. So that provision enables council to consider the request we have before us today. So the property itself at 85 Hillside Road in Brooklyn, the area is primarily low density residential development. The lot itself is fairly decent size for an urban residential property, being approximately 1 acre in size. The building is about 4,900 square feet in area, so it's a good sized building as well. As I indicated, the current development agreement allows for council to consider amendments, and we have supporting policy to allow council to move forward with such a request. So two potential options, one being to maintain the status quo and not amend the current development agreement, or option two would be to amend the current agreement to include provision which would allow the property owners to operate a self-storage business on the property. So staff have reviewed the application and feel that sufficient requirements can be incorporated or are incorporated in the development agreement to minimize impact on the surrounding residential neighborhood. As well, Planning Advisory Committee met on May the 3rd to discuss the application and are also supportive of moving forward with the application to amend the development agreement. So a draft copy of the policy respecting the amendments to the development agreement is included in the staff report as Appendix C.
Thank you, Mike. I've noticed that the applicants Wasawek are with us today. If they wish to unmute themselves and speak to this matter, they may, or they may wish to remain silent.
Thank you. Thank you for considering our application. It's been a long road and we're really looking forward to hopefully getting things started.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Are there any questions of counselors from Mike? Are there any questions? Counselor Brown?
I noticed when we did this amendment to the municipal planning strategy back in January that they were asking for this to be in a totally enclosed storage unit. Is that still the intention to have it inside?
That
That's
hasn't
correct.
changed.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Mike. Yeah, no, everything that we've already put in our application, it was even the accessibility for our clients when they come, that has not changed. Everything stays within the confine of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Counselor Muse, you have a question or was that a cough? It's a cough. Okay. So hearing no questions, I will ask for the question. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Counselor Muse?
Yes. Yes.
Passed. And one more, a report 14.0. Diversity and Inclusion Action Team. There is a motion in your package regarding membership to that team. If someone would please make that motion.
I would.
Councillor Brown?
I recommend that the Council of the Region of Queens Municipality appoint Rebecca Smart to the Diversity and Inclusion Action Team for a term to expire on October 31st, 2022.
Seconded by Councillor Hawks. Eric, would you like to provide some insight into this committee, please?
Yeah, sure. So the Diversity and Inclusion Action Team had a vacancy, which was advertised with an application deadline of April 30th. We received one application from Rebecca Smart, who works in the education system and has quite extensive experience in diversity and inclusion work and quite a bit of community involvement. We think she'll be a great asset to our committee. And that is about it.
Thank you very much, Eric. Does anyone have any questions of Eric or any comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for the question. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Contrary?
Yeah.
And Kevin, that was a yes, correct?
That was a yes.
That was a yes. Passed. That ends the public question, the public part of our schedule for today. We will need a motion to move in camera. Councillor Charlton, and seconded by Councillor Romero, that we move in camera. Therefore, that's the end of our public session, and we'll see you shortly during an in-camera session.